In late April, Kim Jong Un arrived in the port city of Nampo, flanked by top officials and elite guards. From the shoreline, he observed as the Choi Hyon, North Korea's newest guided missile frigate, began her first weapons trial. Footage showed the vessel unleashing missiles across the sky, possibly Wasal-2s, rumored to be able to carry nuclear payloads deep into international waters. Defense officials worldwide watched in stunned silence, baffled by how a sanctioned nation had built such weapons so fast. After the resounding success of the test, Choi Hyon's sister ship was prepared for launch with equal fanfare. In an instant, it all went catastrophically wrong, forcing the dictator, who never admits weakness, to publicly acknowledge the humiliation. Catching up. In 2021, during the Workers' Party Congress, North Korean dictator Kim Jong Un stood before his people and delivered a speech that made its way around the globe. He vowed to counter any American hostility by modernizing his armed forces. Since then, a relentless parade of new weapons has been rolling out of factories and secretive assembly facilities. Towering above them all is the Choi Hyon, North Korea's most advanced naval warship to date. Displacing an estimated 5,000 tons and stretching approximately 460 feet in length, this ship even rivals frigates from the world's most advanced navies. For months, foreign analysts pored over blurred satellite imagery and carefully edited North Korean propaganda clips, trying to discover the full scope of the vessel. But by the time they started to understand the ship's complex design, the Choi Hyon was set to launch from a dock in Nampo. Some estimate the vessel was built in under a year. Despite its rushed timeline, Choi Hyon is no less menacing. The vessel is armed with a 127mm main gun at the bow. Her flanks house advanced anti-submarine and anti-aircraft systems, while her silhouette is punctuated by 74 vertical launch system cells, a payload unmatched by any other North Korean warship. According to state media, during Choi Hyon's initial arms test, the vessel launched an array of live munitions, which included supersonic cruise missiles, strategic long-range cruise missiles, and anti-aircraft interceptors. If those reports are accurate, then the Choi Hyon represents a bold escalation in North Korea's maritime capabilities. Just weeks after this worrisome demonstration, North Korea was already preparing for the launch of a second frigate. Stuck. Satellite imagery revealed that by late May, Choi Hyon's sister vessel was already positioned by the launch platform at the Hamburg shipyard in the northeastern city of Chongjin, just miles from the Russian border. The vessel, still unnamed, was poised for a dramatic entry into the sea using an unconventional and high-risk method, the side launch technique. Unlike the standard stern-first or bow-first slipway launch, the side launch is a violent and unpredictable maneuver, rarely used for ships of this size, which employs a set of heavy-duty wheeled platforms set under the vessel to drop the ship directly into the water. When done correctly, the warship crashes into the water sideways, lurching heavily to one side before violently rocking back and forth, eventually stabilizing under its own weight. But precision is key, and a single miscalculation in balance, timing, or hull design can result in disaster. Analysts speculated that Pyongyang chose this riskier method not for engineering necessity, but for propaganda value. A high-stakes theatrical launch caught on camera, with Kim Jong Un watching from the pier, could signal North Korea was on track to becoming a dominant force in naval warfare, capable of launching multiple modern warships in rapid succession. However, as Kim Jong Un stood at the waterfront in late May, and the hulking warship began to roll, the stern plunged into the harbor, but the bow remained frozen on the platform. The ship's hull twisted, rupturing under the asymmetric load. Instead of stabilizing, it listed sharply. Satellite images captured in the days that followed showed the ship half-submerged and lopsided, surrounded by tugboats and cranes. In an attempt to hide their failure, North Korean crews quickly covered the crippled vessel with tarps, shrouding the deck and hull. But the damage was already done. Worst-case scenario. In the aftermath of North Korea's disastrous frigate launch failure, state media quoted Kim Jong Un, declaring the incident was, quote, a serious accident and criminal act caused by absolute carelessness and irresponsibility, and could not be tolerated. Those deemed responsible for the incident, including the shipyard's chief engineer, have been detained and will be, in the words of state media, quote, dealt with at the plenary meeting of the party's Central Committee. But it wasn't enough for Kim Jong Un to assign blame. He also issued an ultimatum, declaring that the vessel must be salvaged and repaired before the upcoming Workers' Party plenary session, only weeks away. While North Korean media reports that the damage was minor and could be repaired in just 10 days, outside experts aren't nearly as optimistic. Military analysts believe the ship likely suffered significant structural damage, with seawater infiltrating internal compartments, potentially compromising critical systems. However, the biggest threat to the ship's integrity is her position. Defense researcher Decker Eveleth called it, quote, basically the worst possible situation. Attempting to pull the submerged half of the vessel back onto the platform could result in the keel snapping, potentially rendering the destroyer unsalvageable. Under normal circumstances, such a recovery would involve precision-engineered underwater lifting systems and internal buoyancy control, technologies common in advanced navies. However, it's unclear whether North Korea possesses anything remotely close to this capability. Instead, updated satellite imagery has revealed an improvised solution. Over a dozen white, balloon-like objects now surround the stranded vessel. Some analysts believe these may be aerostat-style dirigibles deployed to stabilize the ship from above. But this method raises new risks. Hoisting the ship, even partially using overhead force, could worsen the already critical structural stress, especially near the point where the hull is bent. With time running out, some experts believe the only viable option may be to cut the warship in half, salvaging what they can. If that's the case, repair estimates balloon to 6 months or more, turning the intended triumph of North Korea into an engineering nightmare. Not ready. Part of the reason North Korea now finds itself in this humiliating position lies with the Hamburg shipyard, the facility tasked with building the warship. The choice was, at best, questionable. Hamburg has virtually no history of constructing major warships, let alone one of this magnitude. While workers at the shipyard probably had some experience with side launch methods, they had likely never attempted a launch requiring this many bogies guiding the vessel into the water. It's suspected that some of these could have failed due to improper maintenance, handling, or calibration, resulting in a launch sequence that saw the stern plunge prematurely. Why North Korea entrusted such a high-stakes build to a second-tier shipyard remains unclear, but naval analysts suggest a simple explanation: pressure from above. Kim Jong Un's regime appears to be operating under accelerated deadlines, pushing its military-industrial base beyond safe limits in order to project naval power. Clues of this overreach were visible even before the launch failure. Images of the doomed vessel show it was incomplete at the time of rollout, lacking key systems that had already been installed on its sister ship, the Choi Hyon, including its main turret and anti-aircraft weaponry. This pattern of rushed, undercooked deployments is becoming a defining feature of North Korea's naval modernization. Even the Choi Hyon may not be as seaworthy as propaganda suggests. Persistent rumors, cited by defense experts, claim the ship was towed to its April weapons demonstration, as it had no functioning engine at the time. If true, the vessel's impressive missile launches were staged not from an operational warship, but from a floating launch pad, completely unfit for naval combat. Never underestimate an enemy. Although the US and its allies could likely neutralize these vessels quickly in any open conflict, experts warn these first 2 warships may simply be stepping stones in a broader military-industrial ramp-up. In fact, unconfirmed reports already suggest that a 3rd frigate is under construction, deep within closed-off zones hidden from satellite surveillance, hinting at a long-term plan of establishing a production line of missile-armed warships designed to give North Korea a more credible naval deterrent. Pyongyang's ambitions are not limited to warships. In early 2025, North Korean state media released images of what is believed to be the regime's first nuclear-powered submarine, a vessel reportedly capable of launching up to 10 ballistic or cruise missiles designed to bypass foreign missile defenses and strike near or even inside enemy coastlines. Moon Kyun-sik, a South Korean expert on undersea warfare, didn't mince words. If completed, he warned, this new submarine would be, quote, absolutely threatening to us and the US. For now, America still seems to have some time to refine its defenses. But Washington would be unwise to underestimate the threat, as the moment North Korea salvages its frigate, the buildup will resume, and Pyongyang's march toward a more formidable naval force will continue, more determined and potentially more dangerous than ever.